Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to understand about a very important topic called as network namespaces. In container world, we can achieve network isolation by using network namespaces. Let us see practically with an example. Assume that this is a machine. This machine has its own network interface. Let's say ETH0, Ethernet 0. And assume that within this host machine, assume that this host machine has a OS operating system, let us say Ubuntu. Now what we can do is we can launch multiple containers, right? Assume that this is one container, this is another container. For example, only two containers right now. There can be multiple containers also. Let's assume that there's a third container also, container A, container B, container C. What we can do is we can actually create a network namespace. Once we create a network namespace, every container within the network namespace will have its own virtual Ethernet interface. I'll call it as V0. So every container or every network namespace will have its own interface, and every network namespace will have its own routing table which contains routing entries and also ARP tables, ARP tables, which contains the mapping of IP addresses to MAC addresses, etc. So every network namespace will have its own network interface, routing tables, ARP tables, etc. Now, let us see how to actually create a network namespace. After I create a network namespace, I'll show you how I can create a virtual switch. This is a virtual switch. What we do is we create a virtual switch, and in this virtual switch, we'll have multiple again ports, right? So what we'll do, we'll try to connect this virtual interfaces into this switch. Then communication between container A, container B, container C is possible through this virtual switch. Let us see step by step how we can create namespaces. In this example, I'm going to assume that there will be two containers, container A, container B. So I want to create two network namespaces. Assume that container A is having app1, container B will be having app2. So for app1 I want a network namespace, and for app2 I want a network namespace. So I'll go to my virtual machine, and let us say I will use a command called as ipnetns. This will list all the network namespaces. So there are no namespaces right now. I want to create two network namespaces. I will use sudo ipnetns add, what is the name, app a net ns. Let's assume that this is the name. So I created one network namespace, and I'll also want to create one more app b network namespace. Wow. So now if I use ipnetns, it should show me that there are two network namespaces created. Very simple, right? That's a way to create a network namespace. Now, on the host machine, if I want to see all the IP addresses, IP link command will show me all the network interfaces. So by default, for any network interface, there will be something called as loopback interface referencing to localhost. And on my host machine, there is a interface ENS0. Okay. And there is one more interface called as Docker 0. Forget about this Docker. Just because I have Docker installed on my machine, I have this interface. Otherwise, I could have only this loop back interface, and this is only one interface which I have for my machine. Now, if I want to see the IP address, IP ADDR show, this will actually show me IP addresses. For my loopback interface, you can see the internet addresses 127.0.0.1. This is normally the IP address which we use for localhost, right? This is a default interface which will be there whenever there is one network interface. Then there is one more interface ENS4, and the IP address for this machine is this one. And there is one more interface. I told you, do not worry about this Docker. And for that, another virtual interface. This is actually a virtual interface created for Docker. This is the IP address. Okay. Now, I have created two network namespaces, right? IP net NS. Okay. These are the network namespaces. So I want to actually see the Ethernet's interfaces in each of the namespace. I told you that whenever you create one network namespace, there will be one virtual network interface. So let us see how to see that. Whenever you want to execute IP link command, it will show me all the interfaces. But I want to execute this in a particular namespace. So I have to use like this IP net ns exec. So I want to execute this IP link inside a particular namespace exec and specify the name app a net ns. Oh, sorry, is it a spelling mistake? Sudo. Okay, operation not permitted, so I have to use sudo. So you can see that there is one loopback interface only. Fine. So even if I want to execute same thing on app B network namespace, by default there is only one loopback interface. So I have to attach one more here. Okay, till now we just created network namespaces, but this network namespace is not having a network interface, only loopback interface is there, right? So we can attach a network virtual Ethernet interface to these namespaces. We'll do so. But before that, actually, I want to actually configure a switch, right? A virtual network by using switch. So there are multiple ways to create a virtual switch. One of the way is to use something called as a bridge network. So whenever we create something called as a bridge network, it actually creates a virtual switch. Let us see how to actually create a bridge network. So the command is IP link sudo. I'll use sudo IP link. I want to add interface called as v-net-0. V is used just for myself, for my sake, to identify it as a virtual network interface, vnet0. And the type of this interface, I can say it's a bridge. So this will actually create a switch, and to that switch, this is the interface. vnet0 will be the interface. Fine. Now, if I just write IP link, see, sorry, IP link. See, is there another interface on the host called as vnet0? Yes. So basically, what I did is I created a virtual switch. For every virtual switch, there will be a again interface. So the interface name is vnet0. Fine. I have to allocate IP address for this. So basically, what I thought is I could allocate this network. I want this network to be 192.168.15.0/24. I want a network with this name for this particular switch. For this network, I want this network to be assigned network identifier like this. And for this Ethernet device VNet 0, I want to allocate 192.168.15.5/24 belonging to this slash 24 net. So I want to allocate this IP to this virtual switch. So what I'll do is I will use again IP ADDR add 192.168.1 sorry 15.5/24 for which device? For device v dash net dash 0. So I'm allocating this IP address to this interface of the virtual switch, the bridge network, basically I would say. Okay, again I forgot to use sudo. Okay, now if I use IPADDR show, see here for this VNet, the IP address is this one, but the state is down. Actually, I have to make it up. How to make this interface up? IP, again I will use sudo IP link set v dash net dash 0 space up. So this will make the network interface up. So again, if I say IPADR show, you can see that VNet 0, okay, it is up actually. Here it is showing. The status is up. Okay. Earlier it was down actually here itself. Now it is up. Fine. Now I made actually I created a virtual switch. For that switch, there is a interface. I assign an IP to this interface and I made it up. Okay, I made it up. Now the next thing is to connect. What I need is I want see I created two namespaces for app A and app B, right? So I want to connect this namespace to a switch. What I need is a cable. What I need is a cable. For both the ends of the cable, there should be an interface. Okay. Um, I want this interface to be connected to this network namespace, and I want another end of this cable to be connected to this virtual switch. So I need a virtual cable with two interfaces. One interface which I should be able to connect to a network interface, another interface which I should be able to connect to this switch. So how to do that? Let us see the command. Uh, IP sudo, I'll use sudo IP link um, add what virtual ethernet veth sorry add whatever name I want veth dash app a. So app a, so this will be the veth app a. Then type is veth virtual ethernet, and whenever we are creating a cable we actually create a pair of interfaces. Veth type is veth and peer name is veth dash app a dash br. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a virtual cable veth dash app A. This is one interface. veth dash app A dash br. I'm following convention. So this end I'll connect to the bridge network, and this end I'll connect later to the network namespace. So this is the command which will create a cable, virtual cable. So now I want to connect, I want to link this end to my network namespace for this app one. So the command is sudo ip link set. First of all, let me actually show you ip link. See, do you see that veth app A is one interface, veth app A br is another interface. I created a cable, right? With these two interfaces, and this vnet 0 is the interface of the bridge. Now let me actually set this veth app A to this network namespace. So what is the command? Ip sudo, I'll use sudo ip link set veth dash app A to network namespace, what, app A net ns. Now again I'll say ip link. Let us see, is it visible now on the host? See, only br1 is there. veth app A, since I have set this end to this namespace, it is invisible. It's not visible on the host. Now I want this br, the one with br, to be added to this switch, this switch port, right? So the command is sudo, again I'll use sudo ip link set veth dash app A dash br. This is the other end, app A dash br. I want it to be set as master space to v dash net dash 0. V dash net dash 0 means it is identified by the switch, right? The virtual one. So I'm setting it. Wow. Now if I say IP link, this app A dash BR is still visible. Now what I need to do is, I need to actually create one more cable for connecting this B namespace to this switch. So I'll do again the similar thing. How to create a cable, IP link, add veth dash app B. Type is veth peer, veth, and peer name is veth dash app B dash br. So again a cable. Okay, I have to use sudo. Again a cable with two interfaces. Then I have to add this interface to namespace B, right? So how? IP link. Again I will use sudo IP link set veth dash app B to what? Namespace net ns app B net ns. Sorry, IP. Okay, I is missing. Okay. Then I want the BR part to be switch kept into this virtual switch. So again, a similar command. What I'll use the previous one. Yeah, adding sudo link IP link set. What with app BBR into this master. Okay, done. So what I have done is I have created one more cable. So we have connected one end to this network namespace of B and one end to the switch. Okay. Now we have to add IP addresses, give IP addresses for this these two interfaces. Let me do that. Um, sudo IP. So I want to execute the command in a particular namespace -n, which namespace? App a net ns. This is a namespace. So I want to execute this addr add this command inside this particular namespace. 192.168.15.3/24. I want to allocate this 3 to 24 to a device. Which device? V dash app. So I allocated the IP. Then similarly, I want to allocate one more IP, and I want to execute this command inside a particular namespace app bnetns. The IP address is, let's say, .2, and to which device, which interface? V app B. Fine, I gave IP addresses. Then I need to make these interfaces up. By default, they are down. I need to make them up. So sudo IP-n app a net ns link set the interface name veth dash app a up. So this will make veth dash app a up. And again, similarly in app b network namespace, the other interface b up. Oh, cannot find the device. Sorry. Here in app b namespace, yeah, this is also up. Then I also need to make this links on the bridge also up, right? So again, sudo, this is on the host, this IP link set v dash app a dash br up. So again, the other interface which is on the bridge app b dash br up. I am done. I made all these interfaces up. I assigned IPs, right? I connected all of them. Let us now ping the IP of B, namespace B, the interface in namespace B from A. Now let us ping this IP, IP of uh, app B, network namespace B from network namespace A. So I want to execute a command from network namespace A. So I'll use sudo IP net ns exec, the namespace in which I want to execute app a net ns space ping. I want to ping what 192.168.15.2. This is the IP of the interface in app b namespace. Let us see. Yes, pinging it, right? So what we did is, let me summarize. We created two network namespaces for both containers, and we created a virtual switch by using bridge network. Then we created two virtual Ethernet cables with each cable will contain two ends, two interfaces. One interface I have actually added it to network namespace of A, and another I added to bridge. Similarly, another cable I created, and I actually added one interface to namespace B and another interface to bridge. Then I made this interface, this interface, this interface, this interface, and also this interface, all interfaces up. Then all are connected. Now I will be able to ping from this particular namespace. I'll be able to ping from here to here. The ping succeeded. So actually in containers also, what we do is we can create namespaces like this for each container, one different namespace. And then we actually create a virtual network, a virtual switch or a bridge network, we say. Then connect all of our containers to this bridge network so that they can talk to each other. Actually, later we'll be seeing in Docker. Docker also follows the same approach of network namespaces, but we are abstracted from it. So actually, when you're working with Docker, this all happens behind the scenes. I wanted you to understand what is happening behind the scenes. Once I talk about Docker, again, I'll connect back and I will show you how in Docker uh, network is created, and I will show you how the interfaces are created for each containers and how they are linked in similar way. So you'll be able to connect, right? So mostly, actually, you don't do all this low level stuff, but I wanted you to understand the internals, what is happening behind the scenes, right? So you'll get confidence once I go to Docker. Thank you, and I'll see you in next lecture.